Joining us now for World Brief and the review of some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Adefemi Akinsanya. Good morning, Adefemi. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you, Dr. Rubin.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Divine. Good morning, Rufai.
Sunshine on a rainy day.
Yes, exactly that. Sunshine on a rainy day. I hope everybody had a great weekend.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what's happening around the world. Now, Israel has continued its military operation in Gaza, and at least 12 more people have been killed across the enclave, according to medics. Now, this brings the total death toll, to at least 23 after strikes in Gaza City, Jabalia, and Khan Yunis. Now, Israel has also ordered Palestinians to evacuate from parts of northern Gaza ahead of increased military action, and that's as US President Donald Trump has pushed even further for a ceasefire deal. The military escalation comes as Arab mediators, the likes of Egypt and Qatar, backed by the United States, begin a new ceasefire effort to halt the 20-month conflict and secure the release of Israeli and foreign hostages still being held by Hamas. There's also been rising concern over how aid is being distributed to Gazans in the ruined enclave. Now, hundreds of Palestinians have been killed over the past month in the vicinity of areas where food was being handed out. To the African continent now, and Rwanda, as well as the Democratic Republic of Congo, they have signed a peace deal in Washington aimed at ending decades of devastating conflict between the two neighbors and potentially granting the US lucrative mineral access. Now, the deal demands the disengagement and disarmament and conditional integration of armed groups fighting in the eastern DR Congo. The deal, which was signed by Congolese and Rwandan foreign ministers at the US State Department, has seemingly gone into effect. Both sides have pledged to implement a 2024 deal that would see Rwandan troops withdraw from eastern Congo within 90 days. Kigali and Kinshasa will also launch a regional economic integration framework within the next 90 days. Those are your stories before we head over to the papers. Love to hear your thoughts.
I'm sorry, with due respect, this thing the Americans have come to do again, it's another colonial exploitation. Please, in all of the deal they signed, the main cause of the problem is the M23 group, the Fleur du Congo, which is a collection of many rebel groups. But they left them out of it. They said it's the Rwandan army. No, the Rwandan army was using the M23 to perpetrate all of these heinous crimes in the first place. They were just bolstering and supporting them. It's a deal that is bound to fail at some point. And for good measure, all the minerals there, which was the priority of America in the first place, they said there are some people linked to Trump that are interested in the minerals. When will Africa keep going around in circles? King Baldwin, what's his name? King Leopold of Belgium came to do all of his atrocities. It took the likes of Morel to be able to reveal what King Leopold did.
In Congo.
And it took the likes of people like Hochschild that wrote about the atrocities that the likes of the Force Publique committed in Congo. We want to go around this circle again. We want to go around this circle again. So I don't see any way out of this. Because what will now be the case is how do you implement? You are implementing a deal where the major dramatic personnel causing the chaos, M23, is deliberately left out. I feel M23 was deliberately left out.
Perhaps they didn't want to participate.
Oh,
perhaps
it's party. Let me tell you something. When people sign deals, they look for a wriggle room. It's part of the wriggle room.
Yes.
And Africa should be careful. When are we going to get to a point where we can solve our problems amongst ourselves?
I mean, that's the question.
Not going cap in hand to go and beg people, America, to solve our problems. And the next, it's just like what happened in Lagos. Koshoko and Akitoye. Maybe they called the British to come and solve the fight. They brought their ship aboard HMS Prometheus. They were shooting their cannons here, Agidingbi. And then when they took him back to the ship, he was saying, but you called the British into the problem in the first place. That's how Lagos became a crown colony. We are there again, though. May God help us. Rufai.
And amen. Go ahead.
So today marks the 65th independence of Democratic Republic of Congo. Happy Independence Day to our Congolese brothers and sisters. But the question is Congo really independent today? Especially in light of this development. Now, of course, many people have welcomed the peace deal. In any breath, we always welcome a ceasefire, a peace. Can it be a sustained peace, though, is the question we're asking. Now, a lot of people are saying it still doesn't address the fundamental issues. That, yes, as much as a lot of this is about resources, we also have to remember that a big part of this is about the marginalization of the people of Eastern Congo. And it's important to note, like Rufai said, the historical significance of King Leopold, of the Belgian colonization, the handover to Mobutu Sese Seko, and how over the generations, that region has felt more and more excluded from, economically excluded from what's happening in the rest of the country and marginalized. And this is how this crisis continues to brew and fester. So, you know, a Donald Trump or any other president or international leader can come and say, I've told everybody to stop fighting, there's a deal and we're going to get lots of minerals out of it. No problem. But have you addressed the fundamental cause of this crisis?
Right.
Absolutely not. You have not. Have you spoken, like Rufai said, the M23, those are the Banya Mulenge people. Have they been spoken to? Do we know what they want? We know what they want. They want economic emancipation. But this is a deal between Felix Tshisekedi's government and Paul Kagame's government, and it doesn't address the fact that there is a growing group of people who feel that they are not catered to in the nation's development plans. So for me, I think this will be a brief, I hate to be pessimist, but I think it will be a brief ceasefire. I think the crisis is going to persist.
Thank you, Bimba.
Okay, on Friday, a meeting was held in Washington by representatives of the parties involved in the conflict in the eastern part of the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo. President Trump has described whatever was agreed there as a glorious triumph and as a significant breakthrough. We do not know the details of whatever peace deal. What is to follow is that Felix Tshisekedi, president of the DRC, and President Paul Kagame, who are major parties to the conflict, will meet. A date has not been announced, and that's why we say no details yet. However, two basic editorial issues. Number one is the fact that the Democratic Republic of Congo is in conflict, right?
Yes.
Now, the Rwanda government is involved. Rwanda has about 7,000 troops involved in this. So when is Rwanda? Is there a commitment on the part of Rwanda to withdraw its troops? Is there a commitment on the part of the Rwandan armed forces to also respect the terms of disarmament, disengagement, and integration that was talked about? And also, with the M23
rebels
withdraw. In other words, you know, whatever may have been done raises more questions than answers.
Absolutely.
Now, previous peace meetings have been brokered in the past. Nothing came out of it. What is going to be different this time around? So these are the basic questions. The next issue is about Donald Trump talking about Nobel Prize. He says he's the peacemaker of the world between Israel and Iran. Now he has intervened in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Correct.
Between now, he ensured peace in Egypt. Before now, he ensured peace in Somalia. But he doesn't think that they will give him the Nobel Prize for peace. However, Pakistan, on the issue between Pakistan and India, had recommended President Trump for the Nobel Prize. A Republican senator, Brody, I think that's his name, also recommended him. Someone from Ukraine also recommended him, but the Ukrainian, you know, became skeptical and withdrew his recommendation. But I summarize by saying that this is not about President Trump and his Nobel Prize ambition. Even if before him, Theodore Roosevelt, was given the Nobel Prize. President Clinton was given the Nobel Prize. Henry Kissinger also got the Nobel Prize. Martin Luther King also got the Nobel Prize. But President Trump, we understand, wants to be in very distinguished company of peacemakers in the world. Very quickly. 68 persons killed in eastern Gaza. Israel 400 persons injured, Israel has consistently made it clear that its only interest is in the extermination of the Palestinians and that the Palestinian state cannot exist. Netanyahu, Prime Minister, is under pressure in Israel to get the remaining hostages released.
Yes.
So since March, Israel has continued on the offensive to force the Palestinians in the Hamas to agree to his own terms. Hamas is saying what they are asking for is not just a ceasefire, but the end of hostilities. This is where the conflict is. And I think that America's role in this matter is completely hypocritical.
There we go.
So you are likely to continue to have this conflict between Israel and Hamas without a detente, as it is called in international diplomacy, continuing.
Okay. Well, thank you all for your submissions. Let's move on to newspapers. As ever, we begin with the front page of This Day. This Day's front page features Abu Bakr Dangiwa Umar, who is a retired colonel and prominent June 12th advocate. He has expressed his gratitude to President Bola Tinubu for the national honor bestowed upon him. Now, Umar's name was not initially on that list of June 12 honorees announced on Democracy Day. The president said that his name was inadvertently left out of the list and was later included. Now, the federal government has detailed also a delegation of top government officials led by the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, the Minister of Defense, Mohamed Badaru, and Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohamed Idris, to the burial of Kano-born business mogul Alhaji Aminu Dantata, who died in the UAE capital, Abu Dhabi. Now, the burial is taking place. They're heading to Saudi Arabia. And still on the front page, the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston has returned 2 historic works of art looted from the Benin Kingdom in 1897 to the Oba of Benin. Now, stepping out of Nigeria for a moment, we can see that this story was also reported over the weekend by the Boston Globe, which has an assortment of pictures showing the 2 artworks to be returned. Now, back to Nigeria with the New Telegraph. It leads with the controversy surrounding the status of today's National Executive Committee meeting, which has torn the People's Democratic Party apart, as 2 factions within the party have resolved to proceed with 2 parallel NEC meetings. The Daily Trust looks at Abdullahi Ganduje's resignation as the ruling APC's national chairman. The Congress for Progressive Change bloc within the APC has begun pushing to fill the vacancy. Now, the Daily Trust quotes multiple sources within the bloc that say the CPC faction is agitating for the chairmanship in the name of fairness and justice. The Daily Independent looks at aviation today, reporting the combination of foreign exchange challenges, inadequate maintenance at facilities, a global shortage of aircrafts and insurance bottlenecks, as well as past breaches of lease agreements, which are negatively affecting the ability of Nigerian airlines to access dry lease aircraft from leases 9 months after the fact. That's why some operators who are keen to lease aircrafts on dry lease options have approached willing state governments and investors in the country to invest in the acquisition of aircrafts for easy leases. Now, the National Economy newspaper leads with the Nigerian seafarers decrying poor treatment, despite the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency investing some 45 billion naira through the Nigerian Seafarers Development Program. In response, the federal government has warned stakeholders in the maritime sector against harassment and bullying workers. Those are your newspapers. As ever, it's always a pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Adefemi. Look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.